Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a truth most fear to speak. If your children don't respect you, it's not the end, it's the beginning. Yes, I said it. Not the end of your authority, not the collapse of your influence, but the beginning of a new and powerful transformation. Because respect is never a gift. It is earned, it is taught, and above all it is claimed. I stand before you as a senior who has lived the seasons of life from diapers to diplomas, from playgrounds to pension plans, and I am here to tell you this. Respect from children begins not with your demands, but with your daily example. Children are highly perceptive. They may not always listen to what you say, but they are always watching what you do. If you want respect, you must embody the values you expect from them. This means living with integrity, demonstrating self-discipline, and holding yourself accountable for your actions. You cannot expect honesty if you lie, patience if you snap, or discipline if you lack self-control. When you walk your talk, you set a silent standard that speaks louder than lectures ever could. Children learn through modeling. They absorb attitudes, behaviors, and emotional responses like sponges, especially from those closest to them. If they see you handle challenges with grace, treat others with dignity, and speak with intention, they will internalize those habits even if it takes time. This principle also applies to how you treat them. Do you demand respect but respond to their mistakes with sarcasm or judgment? Do you listen to them or only talk at them? Respect is reciprocal, and while you're still the authority, your behavior sets the tone. You are building a culture in your home every day with your presence. If that culture is based on fear, inconsistency, or contradiction, respect will erode. But if it's built on strength, consistency, and emotional maturity, respect will take root and grow. Ultimately, the key is to shift your focus from controlling your children's behavior to mastering your own. Respect isn't a position you're entitled to just because of age or title. It's a reflection of how you live. And when you live in a way that's worthy of respect, your children are far more likely to give it freely, without force or fear. The way you speak to your children shapes how they perceive your authority. When you raise your voice out of frustration or anger, it may seem powerful in the moment, but over time it weakens your influence. Shouting communicates a loss of control, not strength. Children quickly learn to tune it out or respond with defensiveness. What truly commands respect is a calm, steady voice backed by certainty and consistency. Children push limits to see where the boundaries lie, not because they hate authority, but because they need to feel secure within it. When they see that you can handle their defiance or emotional outbursts without being pulled into chaos, they begin to trust that you are in control, both of the situation and of yourself. This builds a quiet respect over time, one that doesn't need to be forced or demanded. Speaking with calm power also teaches emotional regulation. If you respond to their anger with more anger, you reinforce the idea that emotions are battles to be won. But if you meet their chaos with composure, you show them that strength lies in staying centered. This is how you model emotional leadership, not just for the moment, but for their future relationships and decisions. It's not about being emotionless or passive. It's about choosing your tone and your words with intention. Firmness delivered with respect is far more effective than force delivered with fury. When you speak clearly and confidently, without shouting or belittling, your children may not always agree, but they will listen. And when they listen, you have the opportunity to influence, to guide, and ultimately, to regain the respect that might have been lost. The power of your voice lies not in its volume, but in the conviction and calm behind it. Children need structure as much as they need affection. One of the most powerful ways to earn their respect is by setting clear boundaries and consistently upholding them. Boundaries provide a sense of security. They help children understand what is expected, what is acceptable, and what is not. When those lines are clear and enforced with fairness and firmness, children feel safe, even when they resist them. The truth is, they are not testing you to break the rules, they are testing you to see if the rules matter. Many parents hesitate to enforce boundaries, fearing it will make their children dislike them or create conflict. But avoiding conflict often leads to greater chaos. Children who grow up without limits often feel adrift, unsure of how far they can go or who is really in charge. Respect begins to fade when consequences are inconsistent, or when rules shift based on your mood. Consistency doesn't mean harshness, it means predictability, and that predictability builds trust. Enforcing boundaries is not about punishment, it's about teaching. When a child crosses a line, a clear and proportionate consequence reinforces the lesson. Over time, children learn that you mean what you say, and they begin to internalize those values for themselves. This helps them develop self-discipline, responsibility, and respect for others. It's also important that boundaries are age-appropriate and explained, not just imposed. When children understand why certain limits exist, they are more likely to comply and less likely to rebel. And when they see that those limits apply to everyone fairly, including you, they view them as just, not controlling. Respect grows in a home where love is unconditional, but rules are non-negotiable. Children don't need freedom without limits. They need leaders who care enough to say no, and mean it. When children act disrespectfully, many parents respond with emotional reactions, yelling, blaming, or shaming. While this might bring temporary compliance, it often damages the relationship and undermines long-term respect. Instead of reacting with emotion, respond with deliberate consequences. This means maintaining your calm while making it clear that certain behaviors are not acceptable and that those choices have results. Not punishments out of anger, but consequences that teach responsibility and reinforce values. Children are constantly learning what behavior earns attention. If disrespect brings emotional intensity, even if it's negative, they may continue the behavior simply because it gets a reaction. But when you remain calm and withdraw approval, by removing privileges, pausing a conversation, or stepping away from an escalating situation, you send a clear message: this behavior is not rewarded. This creates space for reflection and accountability rather than deepening conflict. It's essential to separate your approval from your love. You always love your child, no matter what, but you do not have to approve of every action or attitude. When they see that your affection is constant, but your approval must be earned, they learn an important life lesson. Respect is mutual, and it has standards. You are not their opponent, nor are you a passive observer. You are their guide, and part of that role means being willing to step back when needed, not to punish emotionally, but to allow reality to teach. This kind of leadership doesn't require anger, it requires inner strength. When you apply consequences with calm clarity, you preserve dignity on both sides. Over time, your child begins to understand that respect is not demanded, it's expected. And when that expectation is enforced with consistency and fairness, they are far more likely to give it, not out of fear, but out of genuine regard. Respect is not built on authority alone, it grows through connection. When children feel unheard or misunderstood, they naturally push back, sometimes with defiance or silence. Parents often assume that listening to a child means giving up control or agreeing with their behavior. But in truth, listening is a powerful tool for leadership. It signals to your child that their voice matters, and when people feel heard, they are far more open to influence. Many conflicts between parents and children are not about the rule itself, but about how it's delivered. If a child feels dismissed or ignored, their resistance grows. But when you take the time to ask questions, truly listen to the answers, and seek to understand the emotions behind the actions, something shifts. The power struggle dissolves, and in its place, mutual respect begins to take root. You're not giving up your role. You're strengthening it by showing emotional intelligence. Listening does not mean losing your standards. It means acknowledging that your child is a thinking, feeling person with their own perspective, even if it's immature or misguided. When you create space for their voice, you teach them how to express themselves respectfully and responsibly. You model what real communication looks like: calm, curious, and honest. This practice also reveals what's often hidden behind disrespect: confusion, fear, frustration, or a need for connection. By listening, you're not just solving surface behavior, you're getting to the root. And from that place, real change becomes possible. Children are more likely to respect a parent who respects them enough to listen. Even if they don't agree with your decisions, they will remember how you made them feel: valued, heard, and understood. That emotional memory becomes the foundation for lasting respect and a stronger, healthier relationship. Children are deeply influenced by what they see in their parents, not just how they are treated, but who their parents are becoming. If you want your children to respect you, one of the most impactful things you can do is to continue growing yourself. Too often, parents stop evolving once they enter the later stages of life or feel their role is solely to guide others. But children respect leaders who lead by example, and that means being committed to personal development at every age. When your children see that you are still learning, reading, improving your habits, or facing challenges with courage, they begin to see you not just as a parent, but as a person of purpose. Growth reflects strength. It shows that you are not stagnant, not clinging to authority out of fear, but actively shaping your own life with intention. That energy is magnetic, especially to young people who are seeking models of how to live with direction and resilience. Growth also increases your ability to relate. A parent who continues to explore new ideas or develop emotional intelligence becomes more adaptable, more understanding, and more capable of guiding a child through modern challenges. It keeps you relevant in their eyes, not because you mimic their world, but because you remain curious and open, minded in your own. Most importantly, your commitment to growth sends a powerful message. Respect is not demanded by title or age, but earned through action. A stagnant parent expects obedience. A growing parent inspires it. When you show your children that you value progress, learning, and character, they will rise to that standard. They will mirror your mindset and begin to value growth in themselves. And from that place of mutual evolution, true and lasting respect can flourish.